Human actions such as destruction of habitats, unsustainable and destructive use of resources, pollution, the introduction of feral species, and the consequences of a changing climate are the cause of our diminishing biodiversity. At Mainom, we wanted to find out what actions we could take that might make a difference.
Step 1. Making the case for change. We started our investigations by looking at sustainability and why it is so important to conserve our resources for the generations to come. We learnt about ecosystems and how organisms rely on each other to achieve their goals. Increasing the biodiversity of our local area is a way to keep our ecosystems healthy. Before we started to plan for change, we wanted to find out what the organisms and ecosystems we had at the school. That way we could work out how to support them and we could see whether our changes had made a difference. We investigated different areas around the school grounds. We collected, identified and recorded all the invertebrates we found in the area. We recorded any signs of larger organisms we could find, such as paw prints, scratch marks or droppings. We also wrote down any birds we spotted. We took note of all the different habitats that would support organisms such as leaf litter, ground cover, hollow logs and rocks. We identified and described the plant life in the area and found out whether they were native, beneficial or weeds. When we got back, we studied what we had discovered and shared our results. We looked at where our ecosystems were healthy and full of life and identified areas that could be improved.
Step 2. Defining the scope for action. We used a SWOT chart to help us sort out our ideas. First, we wrote down everything that we found that was helping to keep our ecosystems healthy. Then we looked at areas of weakness in the school and came up with a list of things that were threatening our ecosystems or making them unhealthy. The third thing we did was to use what we had learnt about biodiversity and ecosystems to brainstorm ideas about what we could do to make a difference at our school. We wrote down everything we could think of, even if we weren't sure how it could be done. Finally, we looked at any threats or obstacles there were to implementing our ideas. We looked at the list of opportunities for a change that we had brainstormed and crossed out any that were not possible or unrealistic. We then looked at the ideas we had left and rated them as how effective they would be at increasing our school's biodiversity. We worked out what resources we would need to implement our ideas and thought about ways we could obtain them.
Step 3. Developing the proposal for action. We listed all our ideas next to the resources we needed and where they would come from. We made it into a PowerPoint presentation so we could show the principal. We booked a time with the principal and presented our proposal to her. We told her everything we wanted to do and why. She had a few ideas of her own. After we got approval from the principal, we had to approach all the other people we needed help from. We spoke to some of the parents at the school and asked them if they would volunteer some time to assist us. We wrote to local businesses asking them if they could assist us with materials or other donations. We applied for funding through an eco-saving grant.
Step 4. Implementing the proposal. Parents at the school assist us by cutting down some of the camp laurel trees. We will use the timber to set up an outdoor learning area and use the wood chips as mulch. When the area is cleared, we will plant native trees and create a bush tucker garden. We used the funding of the Eco Savers grant to buy a native beehive. We contacted a breeder in our local area and arranged for him to come to the school with our new hive. He made a presentation to the class about the role of bees in pollination and their importance for maintaining healthy ecosystems. He also taught us how to care for our bees. We put our hive beside our veggie garden to help the pollination. As soon as we released them, they poured out of the hive exploring the garden. They seemed happy with their new home.
Step 5.
evaluating and reflecting. Our garden has never been healthier, and while the bees enjoy the nectar and pollen the plants provide, we get to enjoy all the wonderful fruit and vegetables they help to produce. What a perfect partnership!